My name is John Paul Mac Isaac, and this is the story of what happened after I gave the laptop to the FBI.
Well, it sounds like you just said you sought out help from several people, and so there was an intermediary.
The stakes are incredibly high, and hedging on this question, it could impact the safety of a lot more people than just the people you care about.
It wasn't long after my December 9th interaction with the FBI that events transpired that would cause my previous concerns for my safety to return. Agent Mike instructed me that moving forward we should only communicate through text message, no email. He also said that if somebody came into the shop looking for the laptop, that I was to contact him immediately and stall them for 24 hours, and agents would return the equipment. When leaving the shop that day, Agent Mike turned to me and said, "In our experience, nothing ever happens to those that don't talk about these things." And at that time, I was just so happy that the laptop was leaving my shop, I didn't hardly notice the odd instructions or the thinly veiled threat. Shortly after agents collected the laptop, I received a call from Agent Mike requesting assistance in accessing the drive. I assisted them by providing phone support until they were able to access the drive and its data. I thought that it was odd that they required my help, and I was starting to get uncomfortable, but I figured I had no choice but to cooperate with the FBI. About 2 weeks later, I got a call at the shop from Agent Mike seeing if anybody had been in about the laptop. I said no, and that was the last I heard from the FBI. By that time, I was started to reflect on my interactions, and I was getting the feeling that the FBI's agenda no longer included my safety. Why was this laptop not in a lab being professionally inspected? Why was it not admitted as evidence during an impeachment? I was getting the feeling that the FBI was holding on to it until the owner returned for it, and that they cared more about protecting it than they were in protecting me. And ultimately, when it came to my safety, I was worse off than I was before. Towards the end of the summer of 2019, before my father reached out to the FBI, I did probably the smartest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and that was make a copy of the drive. I knew I had to get my story told, and I knew I had to find a voice to tell it. At this time, I was trying to have a business, and I was trying to have a life. I knew that I needed to study the material on the drive, and seeing on how there's no expectation of privacy when it comes to things you abandon. I chose a couple emails and files that I thought were topical and that would raise concern. Once again, I enlisted my father and later my uncle and armed them with the tools needed to go out and share my story.
I'm Colonel Steve Mac Isaac, United States Air Force retired. I was basically out of the story until a few days after the FBI had taken legal custody of the laptop. He did call me a few days later and said he thought it was strange that the FBI was calling him and asking him for technical support on the Mac laptop. I said, yes, that's very strange, because the FBI has one of the best forensic labs in the world, just outside Washington, D.C., and I had assumed wrongly that the day that they took custody of the laptop, that it would be on an airplane and down there for proper disposition. So once again, I thought that the FBI had turned their back on us and they were trying to solve it in-house or just find out what was on the computer locally. So then I decided next best thing to do would be to go to Congress. There were two particular people I admired, one in the Senate and a young lad who was over on the Judicial Committee in the House of Representatives. I attempted to get through to both those offices, got the same thing. If you're not willing to talk to me, you can't talk to one of our lawyers. I said, you understand, I'm not supposed to talk to you. I can only talk to a lawyer. Sorry, have a great day. About this time, I upped the ante with my brother-in-law, Colonel Ron Chico Scott, to say, okay, we've got to do something. We're running out of time.
My name is Colonel Ronald J. Scott, Jr., United States Air Force retired after 34 years of service, to include my time at the Air Force Academy. J.P. MacIsaac is my nephew. J.P.'s father, Colonel Steve MacIsaac, reached out to me towards the end of 2019 to fill me in on the laptop and hard drive and their efforts to get the drive in proper hands once they discovered its contents. On May 8, 2020, I posted a message on the White House contact page indicating I had access to potential national security and criminal information and requested a referral to the Justice Department. No response. On May 13, 2020, I reached out to investigative journalist in response to an article he published regarding Blue Star Strategies. No response. On May 18, 2020, I sent documentation via email and through the postal system. This consisted of a one-page summary of 3 documents on the hard drive and a copy of the redacted FBI subpoena. No response. On May 29, 2020, I sent a similar one-page summary and redacted subpoena via facsimile to Senator's office. No response.
I think it's a combination of a country that's so paranoid to be fed misinformation combined with other major world issues at the time that caused my cries for help to fall on deaf ears. I was running out of time and I was running out of options, and I had one last hope.